concerned about the privacy. Well, every social networking site really allows you complete access over who can see your profile. Even you can control what types of people can see what information. Beyond this, I think it's important that you, again, choose your friends wisely, the people that you're linking in with, because you want to invite the people that you know are going to know you. You don't want to build a network of people that you just, casually know or you're going to forget about in a week. So that's the don't randomly connect with people that you don't know. Be strategic and try to connect with the people who you really do know and have met professionally. There are also some cool aggregator services out there. One of them is called ping.fm. That's all you need to type into the address bar. And what this does is, let's say you're one of those, social networking people that's always doing something. It allows you to make one update on ping.fm, and then that update is automatically disseminated to all of the sites that you're a member of, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. So it just makes the process a little bit more efficient if you really go gung-ho on social networking. Finally, join a group and interact, because sites like LinkedIn have the same type of affinity groups that we were talking about before, except these are electronic groups. And by joining a group, for example, I'm involved in a group called Legal Marketing. And I think at this point there are over 8,000 members around the world. And it gives you access to just an amazing group of individuals that without LinkedIn you would never have connected with. So look for groups on LinkedIn that attract your clients and referral sources, not just other lawyers, and join those groups and connect in with those groups. They're directly tied into your LinkedIn profile. One other thing that I want to mention that I should have put a bullet here on is that LinkedIn, well, I guess I did, has a learning center. LinkedIn has a specific learning center just for attorneys. So for the 54% of you who don't have a profile, and for the 46% of you who do and can probably expand and make your profile even better, you'll see an option on LinkedIn.com for learning centers, and then you'll be able to scroll down and see that there is one just for attorneys. So they're making it very easy for you. Now let's move into the last part of our presentation, which is on the tips surrounding how to communicate in a targeted fashion. Tip number 13 is continue communicating with your clients. Look at the target audiences that you've identified and consult your top 10 lists. Identify information that is timely and relevant to each group, and then create some audience-specific communications. I encourage you not to succumb to the firm newsletter approach, but rather you make sure that your communications with your clients and contacts and referral sources are directly targeted to meet their unique needs, and that they're personalized to each individual. This is really one of the only ways that you can rise above being perceived as junk mail, whether it's U.S. mail or email, is to really communicate regularly but with fewer groups and make the communications relevant to each person. So I say gone are the days of the quote-unquote firm newsletters, and in with the targeted communications that you send to specific audiences within your network. Now, the next one I also really enjoy talking about, because lawyers look at this and they say, what? Use your invoices as a marketing tool. But every month you have the opportunity to communicate the value you deliver to your clients through the invoices that you send them. So take the extra time to provide a detailed summary of the time spent on your client's behalf and make sure that the process and outcome justify the fees. Prepare your invoices from your client's perspective, because if you received an invoice that was, internal meeting here, drafted document there, you probably wouldn't feel good about paying that invoice. What you can do is you can show your clients through your detailed time reporting that everything you're doing on their behalf is well thought out. It's part of the broader whole, which is to help them achieve the results that they hired you for in the first place. Tip number 15, don't just show them, tell them. What this is about is how convincing are your marketing materials. Do you just convey a long list of legal services that you offer? I ask you, would you hire a doctor or any other professional just based on their list of services? And the answer is usually no, and clients are no different. They want to see that you've done what they need. And the way you can do that is to focus on providing representative examples of your experience. Don't just create a list of services. Show clients that you have the breadth and depth of experience required based on your past successes. The way that you do this is, and it doesn't have to be a long white paper, it should just be little snippets of, this was the type of client, this was the situation they were encountering, here is my approach to meeting their needs or solving the problem, and then finally, the solution. And here's what we achieved by going down this path together, because results sell. Here's an example of some representative experience, just so you can see that you have latitude. There's not a cut and dry, do it this way or it's wrong, but again, you're trying to show a client that you have been there, done that in all of the areas that they are looking at hiring you. Plus, what I found is lawyers love to be able to attach representative experience to their biography so that they can send their bio with representative experience to a prospective client or referral source before the lunch meeting. Then they can, the client or the person you're meeting with will have read through all the information, so you don't have to sit and feel that you have to, you know, when is it going to be my turn now to talk about all the great things I've done. So I really encourage you to develop that representative experience. Now on to our very last polling question. This one is fairly easy as well. When did you last add to, when did you last add to or in any way enhance your website? And the options that you have are last week, last month, within the last year, or that you don't have a website. Oh, I'm impressed so far. You will be too when you see this. So keep voting here. Okay. It's kind of funny, I know, that I'm in a webinar, but it's like, you know how you know when popcorn in the microwave is done because the kernels sort of stop popping? That's how I can tell when it's time to close the poll, because all the numbers just sort of lull. So here we are. Let me share with you what your peers and colleagues are saying about enhancing their website. So you can see that, boy, over 50% of you are on top of your website and keeping it current. We've got 32% of you who probably aren't really engaged in the process of keeping your website current if you haven't really done it, or maybe it's been a year. And then we have 18% of you who don't have a website. I will tell you, based on the other webinars we do for attorneys across the country, usually we find about 30% of attorneys in smaller firms or solo practices especially don't have websites. So I'm impressed that we have just a few of you out there who don't have a website yet. And hopefully I'm going to be able to convert you a little bit here as well on our last tip, which is, how is your website? Now, my view is that one of the most cost-effective communication tools that you have is your website. Because through your website, you provide your clients and referral sources with access to information they need to know about you and your practice, but most importantly, to the substance around what it is you do and conveying information. Speaking personally, it really has been well over 10 years since someone has said, hey, can you send me a packet? You can also tie your website into other targeted communications that we've been talking about. So let's say you develop a targeted communication on a particular topic, you post it on your website, you then send an email to that select group of people, and you include a link to that page. So you're driving traffic to your website, but you're also doing targeted communications. There really is, in my opinion, no need to budget for glitzy, glossy brochures. I really do encourage you to put your time and energy into building a website that showcases your expertise. As you know, there are a lot of organizations out there that will build cost-effective websites, and I know at least a couple of these are also affinity partners of the State Bar of Wisconsin, like FindLaw and Lexis. But you know, look into enhancing your website, or if you don't have one, really think about developing a website, because it will become one of your most important marketing tools. Now, at this point, what I would like to do, oh yes, I meant to tell you that in your materials, you have access to a number of additional pieces. Whenever you see in the materials, read more, you click and you go to our blog, and that's why I said previously that there are hundreds of pages of content if you're interested in and motivated to sort of take it to that next level. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn the podium over to my colleague, Jim Patterson. And Jim, let's see here. Okay, Jim, I think you're ready to share your screen now.
Okay, it's on.
And yep, there you go. And Jim is going to, what he's going to do is he's going to walk you through the member side. Now, for those of you who are at the Small Firm and Solo Conference, I had the website up, but I really didn't spend a lot of time showing anybody how the site actually works. Now, while Jim is walking you through the site and how it's benefited other attorneys across the country, I really encourage you to challenge me with questions you have. In your dashboard, you have a little drop-down box that will allow you to pose questions. So when Jim is done, and we have scheduled our time together until 1:15. So Jim is going to spend 10 or 15 minutes going through this, and then I will spend as much time as is necessary to respond to each and every question that you have. So with that, I am turning it over to Jim and starting to compile questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Terrie. All right, so what you're looking at then, as Terrie said, is the member side of MarketYourLawPractice.com. I'm going to take you into my marketing tools and show you this page. Terrie talked about these building blocks, the assess, plan, implement, and measure. I would just like to show you an example of how this site works for an attorney who's using the site. You can see the 4 pillars of marketing that Terrie talked about, and underneath those, the 20 modules or the mini marketing lessons that are part of the site. So let's just pick one. Everybody wants to attract new clients and develop new business. Let's just look at networking and give you a sense of how these various modules are organized. So the building blocks then are assess, plan, implement, and measure. And let's take a look at assessment. One of the things I like is the assessments on the site. Some of the questions are very simple. It's not necessarily rocket science, but I look at the questions and I think, wow, I know exactly where this is heading because I'm not doing this. Here's just some examples for networking. Ask some questions. How's your handshake? How's your eye contact? Do you actually listen when people are talking to you? Do you listen to what they're saying? Do you give without expectation of getting anything in return? So you just go through these questions. Have you developed a great elevator speech? Answer all the questions, hit save, and then you will get a grade for how you did on the assessment. Maybe you start out at a B-. Your goal then would be, as you're working through the networking assessment, as you're establishing a plan, as you're implementing it, that you're going to measure it at the end and you will show improvement. So that's why there's this initial assessment at the beginning. Basically, we first want to see where we are in the process. The next step is to try to figure out where we want to go. And so in order to do that, the attorney would then create a plan with respect to, in this case, networking. And so in this case, the answers are, the responses are qualitative. You're going to actually fill in these responses. Like, what makes you and your firm unique? Have you really thought about that? What is it that you offer? What are the traits and characteristics that differentiate you and your firm? So to really